Ashoka is named after the Indian emperor from the 4th century BC. Emperor Ashoka renounced violence and dedicated his reign to this prosperity and the well-being of his people. He built roads, he built libraries, he he redistributed rice when there was famine, and he basically showed what one person could do when they really put their mind to improving human life. What Ashoka is best known for is introducing the concept of the social entrepreneur as a kind of person who exists in every society, but really until Ashoka came along, most places, most countries, most societies hadn't really learned how to recognize and appreciate and support their own social entrepreneurs. So a social entrepreneur is a person who has an idea for systemic change. What do we mean by systemic change? Well, we're talking about changing the way that an entire industry or an entire field of social work operates. Okay? So in the field of education, we would say that, someone might want to start a school. And that school will serve a finite number of students, 300, 500, 1,000 students, right? And there may be an innovative curriculum, there may be all sorts of little changes, but that would not be systemic change. That might be an improved service to a few students. Someone who's involved in systemic change might be demonstrating a new curriculum in order to revise the whole way that the education department operates, to change the incentive structure for teachers, to change the relationship between parents and their children's schools, to change the way that teachers are trained nationally. So when we talk about social entrepreneurs, we're talking about people who have a vision for systemic change at least the national level. Maybe it's the international level, maybe it's the intercontinental level. The founders of Ashoka had this idea that there were these social entrepreneurs and they existed everywhere, in every society, independent of cultural differences, independent of history, independent of the economic and political situation in the countries, right? And rather than say, let's start an international organization with a big office in Washington or a big office in New York or a big office in London, where we're going to try to dream up solutions to the world's problems, they said, no, let's do something different. Why don't we go out and find those social entrepreneurs who are already working, they're already coming up with ideas, they're already very much committed to change in their societies, and go out and find out, where are they, who are they, what are they doing, and what do they need. And that was the beginning of Ashoka's core program, the Ashoka Fellowship. Ashoka works with social entrepreneurs in several ways. The first thing we do is through the selection program, which is very rigorous, by which we identify new social entrepreneurs and name them as Ashoka Fellows, we help people to understand themselves. A lot of social entrepreneurs, by the nature of the work they're doing, because of who they are, they're mavericks, they're outsiders when they get started, and it's a very difficult road. If you're trying to change the way institutions operate, but you're outside of those institutions, if you're trying to change the way that your field of social work actually runs, but you're seen as someone who's outside of the mainstream, you're unconventional, it's pretty difficult, and no one quite knows what to make of you. But just like as business entrepreneurs often enter the market with a new, untested, untried idea, social entrepreneurs have a very difficult, long climb up to gaining acceptance. So by recognizing people's potential as social entrepreneurs and spending time with them, understanding their vision and saying, hey, we understand what you're doing. You are a social entrepreneur. We've been able to help thousands of people to understand where they fit into their society. Now, once someone becomes an Ashoka Fellow, Ashoka offers various kinds of support. In many cases, that support is financial. During that very difficult startup period when it's hard to find funding, when they've just quit their old job and their family's asking them what they're going to do next, they have to put food on the table, they have to send their children to school, Ashoka offers a form of financing. It's a stipend, it's personal support. It's not project funding to the person's organization. It's actually, it takes the place of a salary, so to speak, right? And what Ashoka found when we began to offer stipends to Ashoka Fellows was that they were telling us, no one's ever done this for us before. No one's ever believed in me or trusted me so much that they're just willing to support me without strings attached. But that's what Ashoka does. So when someone becomes an Ashoka Fellow, it's a lifelong association. The financial support only lasts for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, to help people get on their feet. But the membership in the Ashoka Fellowship will last for as long as the person is active working in the citizen sector. And so what we find is that people have, social entrepreneurs have a sort of predictable life path. They go through an early period where they're learning skills and they're sort of, we call that their apprenticeship, okay? Then they go through the period where they discover their own new idea and they start building it. And this could take several years. You know, it might take 3 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 15 years. It really depends on the specifics of the place and the idea and the social challenge, right? As they build up and as they begin gaining traction and visibility and altitude with their work, they are often ready to branch out in various ways. Often it means collaborating with other social entrepreneurs in order to develop, improve, expand their own services. So the Ashoka Fellowship is a very important body in which like-minded social entrepreneurs can work together, can find areas of cooperation and collaboration. Muhammad Yunus is a world-class social entrepreneur. Many people have heard of him now, and he's been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Yunus actually had a very simple mission to demonstrate that poor people are bankable, and that the problem of poverty is not something that's created by poor people themselves, but poverty is created by the failure of economic systems. And so he just asked himself a question, which was, what would happen if I lent a little bit of money, a very small amount of money, to some poor people? Would they be able to take that capital and do something useful for themselves? And he found that in fact they were. And so he built the institution, the Grameen Bank, in order to develop a particular form of microcredit that works in Bangladesh. So Muhammad Yunus is a member of Ashoka's Global Academy. We have a special body of the world's very, very top social entrepreneurs, and we've recognized Muhammad Yunus as one of the global leaders. Over the last 30 years, Ashoka has built a worldwide fellowship of about 3,000 Ashoka Fellows from 75 countries. Ashoka's vision has also evolved as the organization has grown. Really, the big opportunity that exists in the world today is to inspire all people, whether they're social entrepreneurs or whether they're other professionals or whether they're students, youth, children, young people, whatever the case might be, that they too can become change makers. So Ashoka's vision is that we can build a world where everyone's a change maker. And so we have a program, for example, called the Ashoka Support Network, which is a membership organization for business people who are interested in social innovation. We have a program to link business entrepreneurs with social entrepreneurs. We have a program called the Ashoka University, and which creates what we call changemaker campuses in order to help universities become training grounds for change makers. There are 700 Ashoka Fellows in Asia doing all sorts of things, working in all different fields. It's a wonderful time to be a change maker in Asia with the huge growth of the Asian economy, with the opening up of countries which hadn't been very open for the last few decades. So it's the right place to be. We have a big opportunity to help Ashoka Fellows around the region really succeed and create important social impact. So how are we going to do this? Well, it just so happens that here in Singapore, there's a lot of talent. There are a lot of people who have built companies. There are a lot of people who have served companies. There are a lot of people who have worked in multinational firms who really have expertise in marketing, in financial management, in technology, in building strategy. And what we're looking to do here is channel all that expertise in order to help these Ashoka Fellows from around the region, each of whom is a founder of an innovative organization. We're going to help them to develop their organizations and increase their impact. And that's something that Singapore can do.